A series of unfortunate events is one of my favorite TV shows, maybe ever, and season 2 is right around the corner. So I thought I'd look and see which one's better, as they are both very similar in this very different way. Note, I will not be looking to the books for this comparison, as I have read very little Lemony Snicket books, and just by saying that this is a better adaptation doesn't mean it's a better piece of entertainment. The film spends around 30 minutes on each book, so it's a 90-minute runtime, and that's kind of like shoving all 3 Harry Potter movies into one book. The problem with the film in this case is that they would Count Olaf for a bit, then there was Monty, then he's dead, then there was Aunt Josephine, then she's dead, then she's alive, and then, well, she's dead again, and then they're back with Olaf. And when a Guardian dies, you don't really feel bad for them. It's kind of like watching the show in fast forward. With the show, it has 90 minutes on each book, giving it a way more runtime with a 7-hour runtime. So you get to feel a little more sympathy for these characters. But with the show, it just stops for humor. When Josephine is presumed dead, they call Mr. Poe, they figure out if it's forgery, then they go to a restaurant with Captain Sham, eat brunch, the children deliberately give themselves allergies, they go back, and then they discover the note, and it's not as hitting as when they did it in the film, where they immediately decipher it. Not only is the restaurant scene completely pointless, but the version that happened in the film makes Klaus look way more intelligent. The biggest difference between the two adaptations is how they show the Baudelaire story. The Netflix series is unusually cartoony, while the DreamWorks animation thing is, well, more or less realistic. And a great example of this is how we are introduced to Count Olaf's theater troupe. In the show, we're introduced by a bold musical number, but it does have some dark color palettes. And in the movie, this is how we're introduced, with a bit more lighter colors instead.
Orphans, this is my acting troupe. Orphans.
They don't look rich.
The show, and mainly Count Olaf, keeps breaking the fourth wall.
In all honesty, I prefer long-form television to the movies.
Just look at this scene. He looks directly at the camera. But that doesn't mean to say that the movie is actually bad at this. The show does have some emotional depth. Even though the film has some silliness, it's more realistic. But in the end, which one's better? Even though the show does have some darker color palettes, I'll have to go for the movie on this one. It has much more emotional depth, even though the children do forget about their dead parents at sometimes. The Lemony Snicket in the film is played by Jude Law, and he's just a shadowy figure sat by a typewriter. We never really see his face, but in the show he's played by Patrick Warburton and appears in the foreground like Roger Sterling. There is a problem with this though. It's like he comes in, he tells you something that's about to happen, and the whole movie show experience is kind of ruined for you. Though he does have some good jokes. The movie Warburton, or Lemony Snicket, is usually there to prolong the tension.
Oh, I'm sorry. My ribbon just jammed.
Both versions of Count Olaf are played by great actors. Neil Patrick Harris in the show and Jim Carrey in the movie. Jim Carrey's Olaf is a bit more secretive. He's not open about being evil. When he slaps Klaus, he tries to hide it from his theater troupe.
You all saw it. The boy slipped.
In the show, he openly does it and doesn't care if anyone's watching. Jim Carrey's Olaf is a bit more intelligent and is a better actor. Jim Carrey's Stefano is actually a good friend, but he can easily switch to being a threat.
Do you have a hall pass?
And Neil Patrick Harris always breaks the fourth wall, so you find it really, really hard to actually kind of get invested.
I seem to recall a man named Stefano being so confused by being called Count Olaf.
But I do like the fact that he will threaten and cut off Sonny's toe if they don't come with him. In the show, the children go through all the evidence to prove that Stefano murdered Monty and how he is secretly Count Olaf in disguise. And They could have just killed Poe and kidnapped the children during that whole speech. But in the movie, as soon as Mr. Poe sees Sonny with the baby, Olaf disappears, making it more creepy. Also, Count Olaf in the show is open about being evil, open about wanting the fortune. He's just a stereotypical bad guy. When I first saw him, I thought he looked like Neil Patrick Harris and the BFG, but I actually got fine with his looks. I loved him. And his plan getting threatened by Left Hand, well, that's not in the movie. Count Olaf makes sure that Violet signs it with the right hand in the movie.
Right hand, please.
Now I want to take a quick look at the disguises, particularly Captain Cham. The chemistry is more believable in the movie than it is in the show, and well, again, Captain Cham's just overused in the show. The way he's given away when Sonny bites his peg leg, well, she could have done that at the start, couldn't she? And then when the house gets destroyed in the film, he just shows up back there as Count Olaf. So it's really not weird. Count Olaf and Captain Cham, they're very similar personalities, and the fact that Count Olaf is a wanted criminal makes him and the Baudelaires have a great more rivalry together. The Baudelaire children in both versions are pretty bland in the acting department, but they are fully fleshed out as characters in the show, so we get to spend a lot more time with them. For example, Klaus quotes things and reads. That wasn't something he did in the film. But in the film, the introduction of their abilities is much better handled. In the show, it's over-exaggerated. Sonny smooths out a rock with her teeth. Violet uses a strange machine to pick up rocks she threw in the ocean. And Klaus just reads.
Violet, I'm not sure I understand this passage of Proust.
Could you read it to me?
Happiness is beneficial for the body, but it is grief that develops the powers of the mind.
It could be the translation.
Maybe it makes more sense in the original French.
And we're just told he's intelligent.
At what angle are the prevailing currents?
The angle of the prevailing currents are
Klaus Baudelaire was the middle child and only boy. He was a little older than 12 and wore glasses, which made him look intelligent.
Of course, we still need the right projectile.
He was intelligent.
Overall, I like the children in the show a bit better than the ones in the film. They seem working together a lot, and even though Klaus doesn't have that weird pulling out the books thing, which actually really worked in the film, this Klaus is really great, so I'm going to give a point to the show. Monty in both versions are very loving, but the 15 minutes we get with Monty in the film are actually way more gleeful, and you think that the children are in a safe place due to their happy chemistry. Of course, he doesn't know Stefano or Count Olaf, so he's not really interested when he comes. And, well, in the show, Monty's just played like a Willy Wonka character. Fun, and gleeful, and happy with the children, I guess.
The big softy. One of the least harmful and most friendly creatures in the animal kingdom.
But the incredibly deadly viper is one of the friendliest and least dangerous animals in the entire animal kingdom.
As a woman who's frightened of everything, Aunt Josephine is a pretty good character in the film, played by Meryl Streep, but in the show, she's just so annoying. Even though she's very similar, she is very, very, very annoying, to be honest.
Children, I must ask you not to use any of the doorknobs in the house. Just push on the wood of the door, and it'll open.
Why?
Well, I'm always afraid that the doorknobs will shatter into a million tiny pieces, and one of them will hit my eye.
Just push on the wood. The knob could shatter into a million pieces and hit your eye.
In the show, when Count Olaf rescues them in the boat, and Josephine redeems herself, ready to be fierce and formidable again.
I am ready to be fierce and formidable again.
Whereas in the film, the Aunt Josephine is much more selfish.
Please don't throw me to the leeches. You can have the fortune. You can have the children.
It makes Aunt Josephine's death in the show way more tragic, as she has just redeemed herself. But the Aunt Josephine in the film makes her look like such a coward.
I have some very bad news for you, children. Your parents have perished in a terrible fire.
I'm very, very sorry to tell you this, but your parents have perished in a fire that's destroyed your entire home.
Mr. Poe in the show is actually a complete idiot, and he doesn't really change much between episodes. He doesn't really give a damn about the Baudelaires. All he wants is a promotion, doesn't even listen to them. He's just so ignorant, and all he cares about is that promotion. He lets those 3 children get away. In the movie, Timothy Spall actually has some realistic capacity, so it makes a lot more sense that he would act this way, not some stupid way that Mr. Poe did. But in the end, it's the little things that make this movie and the show more enjoyable than the others. In the film, Count Olaf's silhouette goes against Monty, while Monty just screams like the opening of Resident Evil. In the movie, Klaus bravely reaches up to rescue Sonny, but in the show, Sonny plays poker, which was actually kind of funny, and makes her owe it to release her. The film is more realistic, a bit more darker, while the show is cartoony and surreal. It's up to you which one you like better. Just because the show is a bit more looking towards the books, from what I've heard, this is your choice. And to be honest, my choice would be the show, but let me know what your choice would be down in the comments below. And also subscribe, hit that bell notifications, and like this video.